You've been told your whole life that motivation is the key to success. Find your why, they said. Stay inspired, they said. But here's the harsh truth. Motivation is unreliable. It's a guest that knocks on your door when it feels like it, and disappears when you need it most. What separates those who dream from those who achieve isn't motivation. It's self-discipline. Self-discipline is the quiet power that keeps you moving forward when every excuse in the world feels justified. It's waking up when the bed feels warm, working when no one's watching, and choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. Think about the most successful people you know, whether they're athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, or leaders. They don't rely on feeling ready. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They act day after day, no matter what. And the good news? Self-discipline isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you can build. This book, written for you by the Wise Book Voice, is not just about telling you what discipline is. It's about giving you the tools, strategies, and mindset shifts you need to make discipline your greatest strength. You won't just learn how to be disciplined, you'll learn how to make it part of who you are. We'll talk about the lies you've been told about motivation. We'll break down how to design routines that stick. We'll uncover the science of habits and how to use it to your advantage. We'll tackle procrastination, the silent killer of dreams. We'll explore how to stay consistent when life throws its punches. We'll transform discipline from something you do into something you are. But before we start, here's something I want you to remember. This isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You will stumble. You will have days when you fail. That's not the end. That's part of the process. If you follow what's in these pages and actually apply it, you will change. Your habits will change. Your results will change. And eventually, you will look back and realize that the life you once thought was impossible is the life you're now living every single day. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and let's get to work. Your future is waiting. Let's build it, one disciplined day at a time. Chapter 1. The truth about motivation and why it won't save you. Motivation feels like magic when it's there. It makes you feel unstoppable, like you can take on the world. You've felt it before, maybe after watching an inspiring video, hearing a powerful speech, or reading a story about someone who defied the odds. For a while, you feel charged. You start planning, writing goals, even telling people about the new version of yourself that's about to emerge. But then, it fades. And when it does, so do your actions. The problem isn't that you're lazy. The problem is that you've been sold a myth that motivation is the engine that drives success. The truth is much harsher. Motivation is the passenger, not the driver. It shows up when the ride is smooth, but disappears when the road gets rough. Think about New Year's resolutions. Every January, gyms are packed. People are meal prepping, reading, waking up early, and swearing that this year will be different. But by February, most are back to their old ways. Why? Because their why was powered by a feeling, not a system. Motivation is emotional fuel. It burns hot, but it burns fast. And just like a fire, if you don't have the right structure in place, it will die the moment the fuel runs out. If you've been relying on motivation, you've been relying on something that was never designed to last. If you want more practical, real-world strategies like the ones you're hearing right now, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's packed with tools that go beyond motivation and help you actually do the work, even on the days you don't feel like it. Let's be clear, motivation isn't useless. It's a great spark. It can get you started. But if you treat it as the foundation of your success, you'll always be at the mercy of your moods. The people who achieve their goals, whether it's building a business, getting fit, mastering a skill, or creating art, do not wait for motivation to act. They act
and then motivation follows. They have learned the truth. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Here's the hard part. Discipline doesn't feel exciting at first. It feels repetitive. Sometimes it feels boring, but that's exactly why it works. It's not dependent on hype or adrenaline. It's steady. It's reliable. Picture a professional athlete in the off-season. No cheering crowds, no TV cameras, just them alone in the gym, running drills they've done 1,000 times before. That's discipline, and that's why when the game comes, they're ready. Motivation is like a friend who's fun to be around, but unreliable. Discipline is like the friend who will show up at your door at 4 a.m. if you need them. Which one would you bet your future on? Most people lose because they build their success plan around motivation. They wait to feel ready before starting. They stop when they don't feel it. They never build the muscle that will carry them through those low-energy days. If you want lasting change, you have to reverse the order. You start with action even when you don't feel like it. That action builds progress, and progress creates motivation. Suddenly, you're not chasing motivation anymore. It's chasing you. Every week, we share stories, tools, and strategies that help you break free from the trap of motivation and build unshakable discipline. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep leveling up, one habit at a time. I remember talking to a friend who had been trying to write a book for years. He would write in bursts of inspiration, 3 chapters in a week, then nothing for months. He was waiting for the mood to strike. But then he changed his approach. He committed to writing 500 words a day, no matter what, rain or shine, inspired or uninspired. It wasn't long before the book was finished, and ironically, he found himself more motivated than ever. That's the secret you need to understand. You don't wait for the perfect mood to work. You work, and the perfect mood often comes as a result. The biggest advantage of discipline over motivation is predictability. Motivation is unpredictable. You never know when it will show up. Discipline is dependable. You decide when it shows up. You control it. When you understand this, you stop living at the mercy of your feelings. You stop letting "I don't feel like it" decide your future. You start acting from a place of commitment, not mood. And here's where your life changes. When you stop needing motivation, you start building momentum. And momentum is far more powerful. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like doing this?" Momentum says, "We're already moving, let's keep going." That's what this book will teach you, how to make discipline your engine so you can keep going no matter what. Motivation may still visit, but it will no longer control you. You will control the pace, the direction, and the outcome. If you're serious about replacing short bursts of motivation with a lifetime of discipline, our YouTube channel is your perfect next step. It's where we dive deeper into these strategies and give you step-by-step guidance to build habits that last. Subscribe today and start creating your disciplined future.
Chapter 2. Building the Discipline Mindset. Everything in life begins in the mind before it happens in reality. Your habits, your actions, your decisions, they're all born from the way you think. So if you want to build discipline, you can't just force yourself to act differently. You have to train yourself to think differently. A disciplined life starts with a disciplined mind. And that means changing the way you see yourself, the way you see effort, and the way you see struggle. Most people see discipline as punishment. They think it's about restriction, denial, and forcing yourself to do things you hate. But here's the truth. Discipline is not about taking away your freedom. It's about creating it. Think about it. If you have the discipline to manage your time well, you get more freedom to spend it however you want. If you have the discipline to control your spending, you get the freedom to make choices without financial stress. If you have the discipline to take care of your health, you get the freedom to live with more energy and less pain. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. But to cross that bridge, you have to see it as something positive, not a burden. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "Does this align with the person I'm becoming?" When your actions are tied to your identity, to the kind of person you want to be, discipline stops feeling like a chore. It becomes a natural part of you. The best athletes in the world don't feel like training every day, but they see themselves as athletes, and athletes train whether they want to or not. The same is true for writers who write daily, leaders who show up for their team, or parents who sacrifice for their children. They act from identity, not emotion. There's another mental shift you need. Stop viewing setbacks as proof that you're not disciplined enough. Instead, see them as training. Every time you fail, you learn how to recover faster. Every time you slip, you get a chance to prove to yourself that you can get back up. You can't build mental strength without resistance. Just like muscles grow by lifting heavier weights, your discipline grows by pushing against harder challenges. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you're reinforcing your identity as a disciplined person. Now here's a thought that might change the way you see discipline forever. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are a direct reflection of your mindset. If your mindset is, "I'll do it when I feel like it," your system will be inconsistent, and so will your results. If your mindset is, "I do it because this is who I am," your system will be unshakable, and so will your results. That's why your goal right now isn't just to do disciplined things, it's to become a disciplined person. Once it's part of your identity, you don't have to force it anymore. There's a powerful example in the story of Jocko Willink, the former Navy SEAL commander. Every morning, without fail, he wakes up at 4:30 a.m. Not because he loves waking up early. In fact, he admits he doesn't always want to. He does it because it's part of his identity. He's the kind of man who leads himself before he leads others. And that's a choice he makes daily. When you begin to see discipline as part of who you are, not something you use only when convenient, you stop fighting yourself. You don't waste energy debating, delaying, or negotiating with your excuses. You just do the thing. This is why some people seem to have endless willpower. It's not actually willpower. It's identity-driven behavior. They're not constantly battling temptation because they've already decided who they are. And here's the real magic. The more you live according to your disciplined identity, the more you trust yourself. Every time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, you're telling your brain, "I can count on me." That self-trust is priceless. It's the foundation for every other success you'll build. So starting today, stop thinking of discipline as something outside of you that you have to grab when you need it. Start seeing it as part of you. Feed it daily. Strengthen it through challenges. Protect it from excuses. Because the day you truly believe you are a disciplined person is the day everything else becomes easier.
Chapter 3. Designing a routine that stays for life. A routine is more than a schedule. It's a silent agreement between you and your future self. Every decision you make today, when to wake up, what to focus on, what to ignore, is either building that future or breaking it. Most people think routines are about discipline, but the truth is, a good routine removes the need for discipline. When something is part of your daily structure, you don't debate it. You don't waste energy deciding whether to do it or not. You just do it. The problem is, most people design routines that are too big for the life they're actually living. They try to change everything at once, and when reality pushes back, they give up. The secret isn't to build a perfect routine, it's to build a sustainable one. Sustainability means designing your day so it works with you, not against you. If you're not a morning person, you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. just because some productivity book told you to. If you're most focused in the evening, schedule your deep work then.
The best routine is the one you can actually live with. Start by identifying your anchors, the non-negotiables. These are the moments in your day that will always happen no matter what. Waking up, eating meals, going to bed. Once you have these anchors, you can build habits around them. For example, if you always have coffee in the morning, use that moment to read for 10 minutes or plan your day. If you always brush your teeth before bed, use that as the cue to write in your journal or prepare your clothes for the next day. The smaller the change, the easier it is to repeat. And the more you repeat, the stronger the habit becomes. That's why starting small isn't a sign of weakness, it's the smartest way to win. It also helps to give your routine a rhythm instead of a rigid set of times. Instead of saying, I will read at exactly 6 a.m., say, I will read right after my morning shower. This way, your routine adapts when life isn't perfectly on schedule. One of the most important things to remember is that your environment shapes your routine more than your willpower does. If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, scrolling will be the first thing you do. If your running shoes are ready by the door, going for a run becomes much easier. The best routines are supported by an environment that nudges you toward the right action without you even thinking about it. And don't forget, your routine isn't just about productivity, it's also about energy. If you fill every hour with work and never leave space to rest, you'll burn out. A routine that lasts for life has balance built into it. It has moments to push and moments to recover. If you want step-by-step guidance on building a routine that works for your lifestyle and keeps you consistent for years, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We share practical, real-life strategies that make your habits stick without overwhelming you. When you build a routine right, it becomes invisible. You stop thinking about whether you'll do it. You just live it. That's when the magic happens. Because over time, these small daily actions compound into massive results. Think of it like interest on money. A small amount invested regularly grows into something huge. Your routine works the same way. Doing the right things daily will multiply your results beyond what you expect, but only if you keep showing up. You may have days when you can't do your full routine. That's okay. On those days, shrink it. Do the minimum version instead of skipping completely. This keeps the chain unbroken and protects the habit. For example, if your normal workout is 30 minutes, do 5 minutes on busy days. The point is not perfection, it's consistency. And here's the part most people overlook. Your routine will need to evolve. What works for you today may not work in 6 months or 6 years. You'll get new responsibilities, new challenges, and new goals. Be ready to adapt. The best routines are living systems, flexible, but unshakable at their core. There's a story about Stephen King, one of the most successful authors of all time. He writes every single day. Birthdays, holidays, even when he's sick. But he doesn't lock himself into a specific time. He just commits to finishing his daily word count no matter when it happens. That's the power of a routine with both structure and flexibility. Your routine is your foundation. When life gets chaotic, and it will, your routine will keep you steady. It will remind you who you are and where you're going. And if you keep it simple, realistic, and adaptable, it will carry you for a lifetime. So don't chase the perfect schedule. Build the one you can live with. And then, live it. Every single day.
Chapter 4. The Science of Habits and Self-Control. Habits are the autopilot of your life. Once they're built, they run without asking for your permission. That's why changing your life doesn't start with a massive overhaul. It starts with changing the tiny actions you repeat every single day. Science tells us that habits work in a loop: cue, routine, reward. It begins with a cue, something that triggers the behavior. This could be a time of day, a place, a feeling, or even another action. For example,
Feeling stressed might trigger you to open social media. Or walking into the kitchen might trigger you to grab a snack. Then comes the routine, the action itself. This is the habit you perform, good or bad. Finally, the loop ends with a reward, the feeling or benefit you get from doing it. This reward teaches your brain, hey, that felt good. Let's remember this for next time. The problem is, your brain doesn't care whether a habit is good for you or not. It only cares about what's easy and rewarding now. That's why bad habits are so sticky. They often give quick pleasure. The trick isn't to break bad habits by sheer willpower. It's to replace them with better habits that give you a similar reward but move you toward your goals. If scrolling on your phone gives you a quick escape, maybe you replace it with listening to a short podcast or reading a few pages of a book you enjoy. Self-control works the same way. It's not about fighting temptation endlessly. It's about shaping your environment so you don't have to fight as much. If you're trying to eat healthier, don't rely on willpower to avoid junk food. Just don't keep it in the house. If you're trying to focus, keep your phone in another room while you work. The fewer decisions you have to make, the stronger your self-control feels. This is because willpower is like a battery. It drains the more you use it in a day. But if you turn good behaviors into habits, you remove the need to decide every time. You just do. Here's the important part. Habits are built through repetition, not motivation. It's like training a muscle. At first it feels awkward and heavy, but over time it becomes easier until it's just part of you. One famous study by Dr. Philippa Lally at University College London found that it takes an average of 66 days to make a habit automatic. Not 21 days like you've heard, 66. And that's the average, meaning some habits take longer depending on complexity. The takeaway? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up until the action becomes your default mode. But there's a danger here, falling into the all-or-nothing trap. Missing one day doesn't mean you failed. What matters is not letting one missed day turn into 3, then 7, then quitting altogether. A single break won't destroy your progress, but losing momentum will. Self-control also grows when you give yourself boundaries, not restrictions. A restriction says, I can never do this. A boundary says, I choose when and how I do this. That difference matters. For example, instead of, I will never eat dessert, say, I will have dessert only on weekends. This keeps your brain from feeling deprived, which makes it easier to stay consistent. Think of habits and self-control like building a dam. At first, water flows freely, and it takes effort to block it. But as the dam grows, the pressure eases, and holding back the flow becomes natural. Your habits are the walls of that dam. The stronger they get, the less effort you need to stay on track. One of the best ways to strengthen a new habit is through habit stacking, attaching a new habit to something you already do automatically. If you always drink coffee in the morning, stack a quick gratitude journal entry right after it. If you always brush your teeth at night, stack 10 push-ups or a short meditation afterwards. This way, the existing habit becomes the cue for your new one. Finally, reward yourself for progress, not just at the end of a big goal, but along the way. Your brain thrives on small wins. Celebrating those wins trains your mind to enjoy the process, which makes the habit last longer. If you want more practical, science-backed strategies to make self-control effortless and turn habits into second nature, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get tools you can apply the same day you learn them. Remember, discipline isn't about fighting yourself every day. It's about setting up systems so you don't have to fight at all. The more you turn the right actions into habits, the more your life runs in the direction you want, automatically.
Chapter 5. Breaking the Cycle of Procrastination. Procrastination is the art of convincing yourself that later is a better time to start. It whispers, you'll be more ready tomorrow. You just need to feel inspired first. Or, it's not urgent yet. But tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes never. Procrastination isn't laziness. In fact, many procrastinators are hardworking in bursts, just at the wrong times. The real cause is often fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being perfect, fear of starting something that feels overwhelming. Think about it. How many times have you avoided a task and done something easier instead? Maybe you cleaned your room when you should have been writing that report, or you answered emails instead of making that difficult phone call. That's productive procrastination, doing something that feels like work, but is actually avoiding the real work. The first step to breaking the cycle is awareness. You can't fix a problem you don't see. Start tracking when and why you procrastinate. Is it when you feel tired, overwhelmed, unsure of where to start? Each of these requires a different solution. For example, if you procrastinate because a task feels huge, break it down into ridiculously small steps. Don't write a chapter, just open the document and write one sentence. Once you start, momentum will often carry you further than you expected. Another powerful tool is the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you only have to work on the task for 5 minutes. Often, you'll end up continuing. The hardest part is starting, not continuing. Also, set clear deadlines. An open-ended task is an invitation for procrastination. Even if the deadline is self-imposed, it gives your brain a finish line to aim for. Environment matters too. If your workspace is full of distractions, you're fighting an uphill battle. Remove temptations, put your phone in another room, close unrelated tabs, or work in a different environment where your brain associates the space with focus. And here's something important. Reward progress, not perfection. If you only celebrate when the whole project is done, you'll keep delaying starting it. But if you reward yourself for each small milestone, you'll train your brain to enjoy the process. Breaking procrastination isn't about becoming perfectly productive overnight. It's about building the habit of starting even when you don't feel ready. For more proven psychology-backed techniques to beat procrastination and get things done without stress, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get tools you can use immediately to take action today, not someday. Once you realize that later is just an excuse, you'll see that now is the only time you really have.
Chapter 6: How to Stay Consistent When Life Gets Hard. Consistency is easy when life is smooth, but what about when everything feels like it's falling apart? When you're tired, distressed, or dealing with unexpected problems? That's where most people give up. Here's the truth. Staying consistent in hard times is less about motivation and more about having a minimum standard for yourself. Instead of aiming for your perfect routine, aim for the smallest version that still keeps you in the game. For example, if your goal is to exercise daily and you're having a rough week, maybe your minimum standard is just 5 minutes of stretching. If your goal is to write, maybe it's just 1 paragraph. These tiny wins keep your identity intact. I am someone who keeps going no matter what. Think of consistency like a rope. If you miss a day, you haven't cut the rope, you've just loosened it. But if you stop for a week, the rope starts to fray. Your job is to keep pulling, even if it's slower than usual. One real-life example is Olympic athletes. They don't train hard every single day. They adjust intensity depending on their condition, but never stop completely. That's how they stay in shape year-round.
Another tip is to have backup plans ready. If you can't do your normal workout, have a quick bodyweight routine ready for home. If you can't stick to your usual work hours, have a power hour where you focus on the most important task only. Also, focus on systems, not moods. If you decide every day whether or not to do something based on how you feel, you're doomed. Build habits so strong they survive your bad moods. Most importantly, remind yourself of why you started. When things get tough, motivation from the beginning can fade. But if you reconnect to your deeper reason, it will push you through the low points. Staying consistent through challenges isn't about being superhuman. It's about being committed. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily inspiration and practical steps that help you stay on track even when life gets messy. Consistency during easy times builds progress. Consistency during hard times builds character.
Chapter 7. Transforming Discipline into Your Identity. The most powerful form of discipline isn't something you do, it's something you are. When discipline becomes part of your identity, you don't need to push yourself anymore. You simply act according to who you believe you are. For example, a person who says, "I'm trying to quit smoking," is telling themselves they are still a smoker who's attempting to change. But a person who says, "I'm not a smoker," has already shifted their identity. Identity drives behavior. If you see yourself as a disciplined person, you'll act accordingly, without endless debates in your head. The question is, how do you make discipline part of your identity? First, start small. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you cast a vote for your new identity. You don't need 100% perfection, just enough votes that your brain says, "This is who I am now." Second, surround yourself with people who live the way you want to live. Humans are wired to fit in with their group. If discipline is normal in your circle, it becomes normal for you too. Third, tell yourself the truth. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your identity. Every time you keep one, you strengthen it. Think of it like planting a tree. At first, it's fragile and needs constant care. But as it grows, it becomes strong enough to withstand storms. That's your identity. And remember, your identity isn't fixed. It's a choice you make daily. If you want to make self-discipline feel natural instead of forced, our YouTube channel has step-by-step guides on building an unshakable, disciplined identity. Subscribe and start reshaping who you are from the inside out. When discipline becomes you, you don't chase goals anymore. You attract them.
Chapter 8. How to keep growing without burning out. Discipline is powerful, but without balance, it can turn into burnout. You can't run at full speed forever. Growth requires rest just as much as effort. Burnout happens when you push without recovery. It's like trying to lift weights every single day without giving your muscles time to heal. Eventually, you break down. The key is to see rest as part of discipline, not the opposite of it. A disciplined person doesn't just work hard, they recover well. One strategy is the sprint and rest method. Work with intense focus for a set period, maybe a week or two, then take a deliberate rest day or lighter period. This keeps your mind fresh and your motivation alive. Another is to watch for early warning signs of burnout: constant fatigue, loss of interest, irritability, and declining performance. When you see these, scale back before you crash. You should also schedule joy into your life. Discipline isn't about removing happiness, it's about creating space for the things that truly matter. If you never laugh, play, or relax, you're not disciplined, you're trapped. Real-life example. Some of the most disciplined CEOs schedule hobbies into their week. Warren Buffett plays the ukulele. Bill Gates takes reading vacations. These aren't distractions, they're fuel. Lastly, remember that growth is a long game.
You're not racing to a finish line, you're building a life. Sustainable discipline is better than intense discipline that burns out in 6 months. For more strategies on balancing discipline with joy and growing without exhausting yourself, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll learn how to keep your fire burning for years, not just weeks. Burnout ends the journey. Balance keeps it going.